Hey folks, it's Nate. Thanks for joining me at the art table again today. It seems like, in addition to providing the world with an excellent film in the form of Dune 2, Denis Villeneuve has also given those who enjoy storytelling something to think about. He stated, "Frankly, I hate dialogue. Dialogue is for theater and television. I don't remember movies because of a good line. I remember movies because of a strong image. I'm not interested in dialogue at all. Pure image and sound, that is the power of cinema, but it is something not obvious when you watch movies today." Now, lots of people have already deconstructed this. They've pointed out famous movie lines that go very well with very strong scenes, and some people have even pointed out that it's kind of ridiculous to draw a line between pure sound and dialogue. Dialogue is just sound when spoken on the screen. These are all excellent points to make, but I'm interested in going a step deeper. While poorly articulated, I think Villeneuve was actually trying to make a very different point than what came through. He is a unique mind, and clearly, if you're at all familiar with his body of work, you know he is very good at setting up striking visual shots. Especially when he's working in the genre of science fiction, a genre for which he has already created 4 visually striking films. It shouldn't surprise anyone that a person with that kind of strong talent for visual composition probably has a different way of looking at the world in general and his medium in particular than most other people. He's a very visually driven person, and that's the emphasis of his creative process. I don't really have a problem with that. There is a problem, though, with that kind of unorthodox viewpoint. It drives you to make statements that just aren't going to resonate with a lot of other people. Statements that overlook a great deal of the rest of the artistic medium he works in. Denny didn't say, for example, that films should have no soundtrack, even though that has nothing to do with the visuals. In fact, as already mentioned, he contradicted that point of view and he said films should be visuals and sound. It is specifically the kinds of sound that comprise dialogue that he objects to. We're going to come back to that. I am interested first and foremost in what he said in his interview, specifically his statement that he would like to make a film that is entirely visuals. Again, given the kind of director he is and the kind of projects he's worked on, at least in the sci-fi genre, that doesn't surprise me at all. He's done a huge amount of very effective visual storytelling in that genre. And it's actually kind of admirable that he wants to take that kind of storytelling and push it as far as he can go, as hard as he can. It reminds me of the kind of person who plays Dark Souls and tries to beat the game with no weapons or armor. That's not what the game is designed for, it's not what it's intended for, but it is possible, and there is a small subset of people who really enjoy trying to push the game as far as it can go in that direction. Likewise, there is a group of people who find that kind of achievement, that kind of success, very interesting. They may not want to do it themselves, but they enjoy seeing other people do it. Nevertheless, that's not how most people would engage with Dark Souls as an experience, whether they are playing it or watching other people play it. In short, I think Villeneuve is welcome to attempt this experimental thing, and I think it would be a good thing for a storyteller such as himself to attempt. It would probably make him a sharper, smarter storyteller, and there are some people who would enjoy it. I wouldn't be one of them, though. Now, back to the whole notion of dialogue being contrary to cinema. Every so often, when you are working in an artistic medium, you come across these kinds of viewpoints. You'll encounter it in comic books when people say, the most important thing is the art, and everything else should be secondary to the art. It is a visual medium, after all. Likewise, if you talk about board games, you'll be told this is an art form that is about decision-making, and so the board game should prioritize the most interesting decision-making, and random elements, such as dice or the shuffling of cards, should be minimized if not eliminated. Like Denny's argument, I think these points of views basically boil down to the same thought. An artistic medium should put all of its strength behind its strongest element. Visuals for film, art for comics, decision-making for board games. The trap here, in my opinion, is that these people are analyzing their art form scientifically instead of holistically. They are looking at the parts and saying, what is the part that this art form provides with more strength or capitalizes on better than any other art form? And then they're saying, that is the part of this art form that I have to be all in on. That is a terrible way to look at any kind of art. Consider the Mona Lisa. Everyone says that the biggest part of the Mona Lisa is her strange, mysterious, alluring, but almost invisible smile. It's not a very pronounced expression. It's extremely subtle. But you cannot recreate the effect of the Mona Lisa just by drawing a set of lips. The Mona Lisa is a face. And it's not just a face. It's actually an entire upper body with a very dignified, reserved posture, a gentle, thoughtful folding of the hands. These are all important elements of making the painting what it is. You can't just take one of them away and have the same kind of impact. Da Vinci's painting is working as a whole, not just as one of its elements. Comics are a visual medium, but some of the most striking illustrations out there come from people who integrate sound effects very deeply into their panels. Eiichiro Oda actually includes sound effects in his panels that are so big and striking. The Dawn, his favorite sound effect, has become something of a meme in the community. And, well, Hirohiko Araki is so bought in on his sound effects that they actually included them in the animated version of some of his stories. They're right there on the screen, even though they're also playing through your speakers. By visualizing the sound, they were able to drive home the power and the force that it was supposed to have in the moment. That actually becomes more realistic and immersive than just having a silent panel. Now, board games that are just about decision making have a lot more potential than a visual medium that is purely visuals. Go is the oldest board game we're aware of. It's entirely about decision making. There's no randomness in it at all. And it's deeply interesting and engaging if you can wrap your head around how the game is supposed to work. But that last bit, the bit about wrapping your head around how it's supposed to work, that makes it very inaccessible to most people. Much like that guy who solos Dark Souls with no weapons and armor, Go is a game that is really not for broad audiences. Adding strong artistic elements or elements of randomness makes the game more accessible because people don't have to wrap their head around as much. The decisions they make are not going to go as far. You're more likely to have something fun and enjoyable happen, even if you didn't necessarily plan for it. You see, when you begin to look at artistic mediums holistically, it rapidly becomes apparent that the strongest part of a medium is just that, a part of the medium. There's nothing wrong with building your piece of art in service to that strongest element, but disregarding the other elements is still disregarding your medium. A painter can paint without light and shadow, but the artistic merit of such a painting compared to the artistic merit of a Caravaggio or a Rembrandt are light years apart, even if they all have the same composition. When making a movie, you have a number of pieces you use to build the foundation of the artistic experience people are going to get. The biggest one is the visuals. There's also a soundtrack, casting of the actors, honing the narrative that is going to tie all the elements together, and yes, determining what dialogue will do to help you present that narrative. Illuminate those characters and give the actors something to act with. Each of these are stones that can be stacked one atop another to help you reach the towering heights of a great film experience. You can take one of these foundation stones out. Clever and enterprising directors will find ways to build that great experience one way or another. But your foundation will still be that much narrower, that much smaller, that much less suited to building the greatest, largest, most impressive structures. taking that very atomized approach of there's this element that's good and this element that is better can very quickly blind us to the synergistic effect of having multiple elements of different kinds working in tandem, the holistic nature of creating any work of art. That's not to say it's bad to analyze elements in isolation. It can be very useful, but I don't think you can build your entire analysis of a medium as a whole on just one element. It's foolhardy at best and dreadfully reductive at worst. You can experiment with it and you will definitely make some neat things. But if you try and reduce an entire medium that way, everything in it is just going to get smaller and less interesting. Or at least that's how it looks to me. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. There's a like button and a subscribe button down there. You can use those as you see fit. And I'll talk to you later.